dies, it cuts so deep. In the silence, memories creep. Gigi Luigi sings the pain, a bittersweet tune like falling rain. When love dies, it hurts the most. A fleeting flame, now just a ghost. Yet through the tears we learn to thrive. In the shadows we find our drive. When love dies, it hurts the most. A fleeting flame, now just a ghost. Yet through the tears we learn to thrive. In the shadows we find our drive. Each whispered word, a fading light. The dreams we built now out of sight. Gigi's voice, a haunting song, reminds us where we all belong. When love dies, it hurts the most. But from the ashes, we'll raise a toast to the love that leaves so we can grow. Let me take you higher, let the healing flow.
Hi, and welcome to the Let Me Take You Higher podcast. My name is Mr. Villain, and we have our co-host here. His name is Gigi Luigi, and our topic today is open relationships, Gigi's heartbreak, and humor regarding the situation, guys. I just want to let you know that I'm from a bygone era where you took the time to formulate a relationship with someone, and it spread further than the internet, casual dating, and all these different things. But tonight, we're going to focus on our co-host Gigi, who went through a transformative relationship of 7 years. I mean, guys, that's a long freaking time. But Gigi's nice enough and kind enough to share with us his experience in what we're calling a polyamorous relationship. So basically, we're focusing on Gigi's transformative experience in his 7-year partnership with his spouse. When his partner proposed an open polyamorous relationship or arrangement, it led to a pivotal moment that reshaped Gigi's views on love and commitment. With a mix of humor and heartbreak and some heartfelt commentary, we explore the dynamics of relationships in the modern world and in the modern dynamic. We implore you to come and listen with us as we explore Gigi's heartbreak. And we're not doing this as an exploitative thing. Gigi volunteered 100% to let us know where his mind, heart, and soul is after this experience. But I am Mr. Villain, and this is Let Me Take You Higher, and what we always try to do is give you some inroads and some outroads, avenues and boulevards to get you to a higher plane of thought and light. So, take a seat, buckle up, we're going to take you higher into this polyamory, Martyr Edition. Thanks again, I'm Mr. Villain for Gigi Luigi. Let's tune in. Welcome back to Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that's as complex as a Rubik's Cube. Open relationships, especially polyamory relationships. Gigi, paint us a picture of your last relationship before it turned into a dramatic season finale.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, season finale. Well, we were together for a total of about 6 years. 7 years actually. 7 years. And for about 5 of those years we were pretty much monogamous. The occasional 3-way here and there. Have some fun, whatever.
Yeah.
But, she started to want to do things with, solo with other people and start to technically like kind of date other people, and from there just went south fast.
Yeah, solo's a no-go in my book. I mean, if you're gonna go out and do other stuff, why are we together? But
Yeah.
so take me back. Rewind this tape. Let me know, how'd you guys first meet? How did the whole love affair begin?
So, funny enough, we met and she had a boyfriend at the time. You
Oh, wow.
know,
You didn't read the writing on the wall? Yep.
well, I should have. You're right. I should have.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. So you guys met at first. She had a boyfriend, and you came along as Prince Charming and kinda stole her, kinda wrestled her away from the boyfriend?
Well, no. So we met in a bar just through some mutuals. Like my friends invited me out, and she was hanging
Okay.
out with them.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend was, not to be a dick, but he was kind of like a loser. I don't know if he's still on that same path as he was. He was heavy into drugs, didn't really have any career going for him, anything crazy like that.
Mhm.
So she met me, and an ambitious young lad,
Well,
I guess you could say,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we kind of just hit it off. We became like best friends.
Yeah.
We everything was totally appropriate. We didn't do anything until like she was like pretty much leaving her boyfriend at that point.
Okay.
And then
Well, that's not
when she
bad.
left her, yeah, when she left her boyfriend, we pretty much were together the next day.
Oh,
That's
wow. So
right around
it
the
was
time that we met. Mhm.
well, I mean, so in the dating process, now, was she on any kind of narcotics, any kind of explicits? Aside from, your normal cannabis or whatever, but did she have any problems?
No, I wouldn't say she had any problems.
Okay.
She I mean, I don't yeah, no, she didn't have any like drug problems. Not
Okay.
like some people that I know. I mean,
Okay.
she's
Well,
definitely
yeah.
down to experiment with this and that, but nothing too dangerous.
Okay. Okay. Alright, and so you met her at this bar, and then fast forward, you guys and how long were you guys, like, commingling, friendship? How long did that part of it last?
Oh, geez, probably a good 7 to 8 months.
Okay.
We were
That's
like,
about
we gave it a
okay,
good
so
good little run there. Again, mostly just friends. Um,
mostly just friends?
yeah, we
Okay,
liked
I'm
each
glad
other. We both liked each other though.
okay. Well, yeah, I mean, you guys are, friends. Usually that's kinda how it should start out, but sometimes it doesn't. So kinda walk us through the ins and outs of this entanglement, this situationship.
Well, she's bisexual. So
Okay.
after years and years of us being together, I was like, you know what? That's an aspect of your life that I can never fulfill. You being with a woman, she was always curious about, experimenting with women. So it definitely was like, if you want to have a girlfriend outside of this relationship, I can understand that. And
Mhm.
I even communicated, I said, I can rationalize like you wanting to spend time with a woman over me. Can't
Right.
rationalize a guy because whatever you should be looking for in him, you should be finding in me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Mhm.
like at that point, there's no way I can conceptualize you hanging out with another dude where it doesn't feel like you just blatantly picked him over me. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Not to cause any issues, but you wanted to kinda, like, put safety nets around the relationship. I can understand that.
Well, yeah. Again, like I loved her, and I wanted her to be able to like live her life. You only get to live once,
That's true.
so
We're all
like
looking just for the first and only life we're gonna get, so, yeah.
exactly. So like she's young. She was with her ex for years and years and years. I was the second person she's ever been with. So
Okay.
like I mean, I felt like I was you know helping her, being a supportive boyfriend, but I opened the doors to something that shouldn't have been
You
open,
opened
I guess.
Pandora's box. That's what you
Yeah.
did. So do you I mean, now in this relationship, you knew she was a bisexual through your friendship part of it, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. And is it something that you wanted to open up for yourself? Like, do you think that you put this in her kinda realm because it's something that you also want to explore with other women joining into the relationship?
I mean, at first, I guess I could see that, but very quickly after, having, like, a three-way or 2, I just kinda realized that even when I was with, like, another woman, I just, like, wanted to be with or
Okay.
yeah, to whoever, and I just couldn't really get into the idea, like, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say
Okay.
because I guess there were some selfish intentions there. I can definitely see that.
Right.
But then again, after experiencing it for like in its entirety, I realized that it really isn't anything it's cracked up to be. So I would,
Not re maybe a couple times, like you said, for memory's sake, but those things usually don't work out too well. Not
yeah,
normally.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it pretty much it lost its charm. And then like once that happened, it was like, why are we doing this? Like,
Yeah. But see, I mean, I feel like sometimes in relationships, we invite the terror, and then when the terror becomes too extreme, we kinda back out. We're like, "Okay, I didn't want all that." But then you've already opened that door, like that Pandora's box we said, and now it's on like Donkey Kong. You've opened it, you know what I'm saying? So, that's what I think not just saying not just I'm not saying your relationship in particular, but I think in relationships in general, I've been there, I've done that, so I definitely understand it. But walk me through, so you guys 7 or 8 months, you guys are, like, coalescing, friendships and stuff, and then the day before she breaks up with her boyfriend or during that time frame, you guys are official, right?
pretty much she came to my house the next day and we were pretty much inseparable from there. Um,
Okay,
hung out everywhere, wherever at that time she had to move into her grandparents' house, so I helped her move into there. You know,
okay,
while I was helping her out with that, I would sleep there, and if she was at my grandparents' house because I was living with their taking care of my grandparents at the time,
right.
then she would sleep there. So we were pretty much inseparable from day one.
Okay, so when did you start to notice things that made you question?
So she wanted to get into OnlyFans, and at first I was like, okay, like definitely against it. I
Right.
kinda, like, opened my mind and became okay with it, but
Okay.
then as that progressed, I started to realize that, like, every boundary that I'm setting, it was like she would push me past my boundary and then
Mhm.
wait a little bit and then push
Yeah,
past the next boundary and then wait a second, and then, like, I felt like I was constantly being, like, walked into a situation that I wasn't happy with, and I
right.
set boundaries, and I felt like they weren't being respected.
Well, yeah, she's a boundary breaker, but then she was trying to kinda not s I won't say sucker you in, but she wanted you to be what she believed, I guess, would be her ideal playmate or boyfriend or whatever we're talking. You know what I'm saying? That's what I see. But with that being said, what was the breaking point for you with during all this the situation with her?
Well, it would probably be it was my birthday. She threw a joint birthday party for me and the guy she was trying to open our relationship with. And at that party, I barely saw her at all.
Mm.
She barely
Oh,
interacted with me, barely like she was talking to two other guys. So yeah,
Jesus.
I just started to realize like, you know what, like clearly I'm not a priority in your life, that
Yeah.
you are your only priority in your life.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I want to spend my life with someone like that. So from that point, I just was like, screw this, and started talking to this one girl who I was kind of interested in. I didn't really, it was more fun than it was anything else.
Mhm.
And she accused me of cheating on her. And to be completely funny, it's really funny because we didn't
Yeah.
do anything. Like
Mhm.
we kissed. I'll be upfront and honest about it. We kissed, but that was it. But
Right.
I was accused of doing everything else, and
Mhm.
that's what she said broke the was the straw that broke the camel's back on her case. So a little
So sh
hypocritical there.
Well, yeah, and you're saying that she disrespected the covenant first. Now, do you know if she was having any relations with these dudes already, or what was this? How'd you find out?
She just told me, she was like, "Hey, so and so wanted me to be his girlfriend today, so that's happening." Is essentially the conversation. I
Wow.
was like,
Mm.
I'm not cool with that," and she pretty much was like, "Well, suck it up."
And this is something that now, there was never a red flag that she was, like, transforming into this I won't say anything horrible, but transforming into this new being, this new person with a whole new attitude about life. Nothing that glared at you?
Well, I'm sure, like, hindsight's 2020. I
Yeah.
love the person. I was trying to like make exceptions and excuses in areas that where I shouldn't have been making those exceptions and excuses, but it is what it is.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely red flags. Like the OnlyFans, she was always saying things like she expressed herself sexually, but like
Okay.
or like she identified as polyamorous, which I don't really feel like that's a personality trait or anything else. I just think that's like a preference. Like, but you
Mhm.
know, at one point you got to grow up and realize that the people that you're spending your time with and building relationships with, they're the ones that are going to stand the test of time. Like when you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, people live longer every year. You're going to want that person, that rock that you've you know, held it down with throughout your whole life. You
Right.
know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I don't feel like, I mean, personally, this is my personal belief. I don't feel like polyamorous relationships or anything structured. I don't think they last. But I mean, whatever they can do whatever they want to do, and I'll find someone to build an actual life with. So
Right, and you're right, and I mean, you're doing the right thing by that because, I mean, I have a best friend, he's in a polyamorous relationship, he's been in it for, like, ooh, 5 or 6, I think about 5 or 6 years, and it does work for them, but it's not for everybody, and to me, it just seems like it's just cheating. I mean, I don't know why we're calling it something aside from cheating, because that's kinda what it is, and now when you were dating in the relationship, do you do you feel like she was trying to do something that was kinda, like, obscene or over the top aside from the polyamorous thing? Because I think there's a little bit more that she's thinking that you're not thinking in that situation.
I'm not entirely sure I understand the question.
I'm not sure I sure I said it right, but I guess what I'm getting at is she came to you and she said, "Look, I wanna do this with other dudes," or whatever the case, or bring other dudes into our relationship, and you were steadfast, 100% no. Were there ever times where you guys did this together where it went someplace, or she tried to coax you into something?
Again, I don't understand the question. I mean, like she was always trying to have not always, but like when things started, she was always trying to like push to have a relationship with this person, and she didn't give a flying fuck how I felt about it.
Mhm.
Um, Everything was like very riddled in narcissism. Like she's
Right.
very much like, you know, I have one life and I'm going to live it. I get it. At the same time, though, when you live your life in your early years and you get to the later years and you realize that, the relationships I built along the way aren't really sustaining the test of time. Well, now you're just alone and now you're just sad. And that's not what I want for my life. So,
Right.
and she was trying to like, one of the people involved I had a conversation with, and she said that who was polyamorous. She said that all of her relationships are on par, even
Okay.
on par with her husband, who was the father of her child. And I'm just like, how could you look at anyone else on the same level as that person?
Man, relationships are taking a dive. Like they've come down to, I'd say, like the wire. Like stuff is just, and you're not the only case I've heard of. There's been so many, but I guess I would ask you, did you ever go along with it? Like, I mean, to appease her, did you ever go along with the situation at any time?
But yeah, I mean, we've had our fun or experiments and whatever. But I mean, like she, I guess, technically was dating that guy while she was dating me, and I was just trying to get used to it. But there was just nothing. There's no way, you
Right.
know.
Hmm. Now, did you know the guy that she brought into the relationship at all?
Yeah, he was a good friend of mine. Turns out he's a piece of shit, to be completely honest with you, and just to spare the shit, me shit talking. Let me just say that
Yeah.
he's done some very, very bad things to people, but
Okay.
that's all I'm gonna say about it.
Right, right.
Um,
Okay. Understandable. We don't wanna get you into a court situation.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
so you guys were actually friends, like close friends?
yeah, yeah. That's
Okay,
why I know that he did the things he did. So,
okay. And I
so
mean
yeah, when that came to light, though, like we weren't. I was having a hard time being his friend,
Mhm.
and then things started to develop between him and my ex.
Oh,
So
okay, so this is a guy who came over all the time. So you had no red flags with the guy coming over all the time to be with you and your lover at the time, or how'd that work out?
no, I knew he was a piece of shit to some degree.
Okay.
Um, but I guess I just looked the other way. But you shouldn't do that because again, people show you who they are if you let
Yeah,
them.
if you're paying attention.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's a famous Maya Angelou quote. "If you're paying attention, people always will show you who they are."
Yeah.
So, yeah. And with this situation with your ex-girlfriend, And what ended up happening with that situation with her at the end? What made you leave, or what dissolved the relationship?
It was the fact that she thought that I was cheating on her, ironically.
Okay.
Like,
Huh.
that was the basis for she broke up with me, and it was because she felt that I cheated on her, and as like,
Yeah.
"You are very, very hypocritical," I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
It's like,
That's beyond hypocritical. That's a whole nother issue.
yeah, yeah, it's a whole 'nother, like, you might wanna, like that's, like, mental ward worthy. Like, you
Yeah.
might wanna
I
check
mean,
yourself in.
that's a pure narcissist right there. 100%.
And that's what it is. That's what I was saying, it's riddled in narcissism, and
Mhm.
that's why I can't really get behind it. Like, I wanna give myself to somebody in that whole entirety, like, I want that person to be my person, I wanna be that person's person,
Right.
and, like, this whole polyamorous bullshit is
It's
it's
just
just, like, just shallow relationships. That's all it is.
oh,
It's
yeah.
like yeah, it's just like, "Oh, I
Just
just"
drive-by nights, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Like,
Mhm.
you mean to tell me that the person you love and cherish, you wanna sacrifice the time that you could be spending with them to hang out and build something with somebody else? Like, it just doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense to me. Like, the time that I have is limited. Like, I worked and I'm trying to provide a future for my family. And during the time that I have to spend with my said family, I don't want to be entertaining another girlfriend. You kidding me?
Right.
Like, that's just it's selfish. It's very
No, it
selfish.
I mean, now in this relationship, did she bring on any other women and try to entice you with another woman's presence to kinda expand on this whole polyamory situation?
Well, she was always very flirty, and because of that, then I was just kind of flirty. So, I
Okay.
mean, there was times where, like, we'd be at a party and this girl would be flirting with me, and then, like, I'll tell you, like, "Hey, look," like, or me and my ex would be talking about it,
Right.
and we would be talking about it, and then, I would just, know the girl enough to be like, "Hey, look, so he said that, this and this and whatever." I'm not trying to name names, to be honest. I keep dropping names, but I'm sorry.
You're fine. There's a whole bunch of in the world. We don't know which one it is.
Yeah. But like we're pretty long story short, like, yeah, it would be like, oh, so and so is interested, and then I'll report back to my ex and she'd be like, okay, at the next party, if so such and such happens, then we'll, do that. And it would, so
Okay.
um, but that's just kinda like it. It wasn't like I didn't like I wasn't trying to put like that much effort into it, you know?
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
more like, if I knew somebody was interested in doing it, I would just be like I would mention it to my ex, and if she was, like, okay with it, then I would just mention it to the other people and
Maybe
whatever, or the other person
it'd
or
be like a
whatever.
done right. It'd be like a complete done deal then.
Yeah. So, it was
Okay.
usually, like, we talked about it first, and then, like, it was like, "Hey, cool, okay, boom."
Mhm.
But then it just became very much like, "I'm just gonna do whatever I want."
See, but yeah, that kinda strays away from the whole, the bedstone and what she was trying to do in the first place, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So, what has this done to you? Like, now from an emotional standpoint, intellectual standpoint, like, mind-wise, even physicality, has this taken a toll on you in any way? What has it
Uh
done to you?
oh, absolutely. For a very long time, I was very mad. I'm still mad. I'm still very angry.
I can tell.
Like, very yeah, very, very mad, but not even, like, at the fact of, like, what happened and
Mhm.
what I put up with and, like, basically what she put me through.
Right.
A lot of the things that I'm mad at is the fact that, like, I gave you 7 years of my life and, like,
Mhm.
we're not even on speaking terms.
Yeah.
And it's like, I gave you 7 years of my life, and I've done a lot for you. I sacrificed a lot for you and your family,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
don't even have the common decency to, like, talk and, like, come like, we don't need to, like, have a friendship, but, like, to have, like, positive closure between 2 of us. Like,
Yeah.
so that's what that
Separated.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what's, like, really pissed me off about the majority of the whole thing. Um, and the other the other thing that kinda, like, it makes me realize, like, in order not to hate her, because like, that's
Okay.
the biggest thing is, like, I don't wanna hate something or hate somebody, because in my life, I found that when you hate something, it's derived from love. Like you can't
It's love.
invest in
Mhm.
something because like hatred it takes investment. You can't
It does.
invest in something that you don't love, you know,
Yeah.
because it takes time, takes energy, takes effort.
It takes your
Um,
existential energy, your inner core energy, like your whole everything to hate because you're right. Love is a very fangled thing, man. It does so much. And I mean, just hearing you, I could kind of hear the pain in your voice from what's happened or occurred. And I can tell that you're still dealing with it in a way. Cause this is fresh, right?
yeah, it's pretty fresh. Happened earlier this year.
Mhm.
Again, 7 years. It's just like we were best friends, and like now we can't even have positive closure. That's what really drives me crazy. And I don't want to hate her. So in order to stop hating her, I like really truly started work on just not loving her. So now, like face to face, if I saw her, it's just I feel indifferent towards her.
Okay.
Like you wasted my life, and whatever you were like mad at, like I don't know. I don't really know
Well,
where I was going with that, but no, it's just
yeah.
it. Like I guess I have forgiven like the
Okay.
things that she like. I'm at least willing to like forgive the things that
Okay.
she's put me through, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I don't think that she is mature enough to even acknowledge that she quote unquote put me through anything.
Mm, I get you. Yeah. And she may not ever come to that realization. She may not ever believe it was her. You know what I mean? Because every story has 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, but she may never come to the conclusion that maybe she was the problem.
Yeah, I mean, like again, I'm trying to be very biased. I'm like, yeah, no, like you're only hearing my side of the story, but like I wasn't an angel. Like I definitely messed things up. I could have like avoided certain roads or like
Okay.
didn't open certain
Oh, you're
doors.
talking about the very beginning when you yeah, okay.
Yeah, just in general, like throughout the relationship, like I definitely could have done like just been a better partner, boyfriend, and done a better job at like setting those boundaries. Um, but at the same time, when it came crashing all down and it was starting to affect my mental health in the relationship and I was trying to like voice that when that no longer became something she gave a shit about, that's when I was like, okay, I should have walked away a long time ago.
Yeah, because 'cause you're saying so when this really started to cut out, how many years ago was it when you first started seeing the signs of it? Was it a couple of years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah, I would say like 2 years ago.
Okay, about 2 years?
Yeah.
And
So we started down the path and I told her we both came to the agreement, no one-on-one interactions, like no one-on-ones. It's just,
okay.
like we can bring some people into it, like that's fine. Flirting at parties is fine. But I was like, I don't want to be left at a party and you go away with somebody and,
And
hook up with them. Cause then at
right.
that point you literally just ditch me at a party to go, hey, hook up with somebody.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, 1 week later, she did it.
And she told you
That exact thing. She ditched me at a party to go hook up with somebody.
oh my and it wa and the person that she hooked up with was your friend that you were talking about, or
Yes.
that's a lot going on. Now, your friend situation, is your friend does he have a family? I mean, is he
Yeah.
married?
Married with a kid. So she left our relationship so she can be a third wheel in someone else's.
And then she wanted to drag you into that relationship as well, or she just
Yeah.
wanted to happen?
Yeah. No,
Ah,
she wanted to, and I was just no. I'm not a community type of.
that's a lot of
What at what point? Where do you draw the lines from like what we are as a relationship from what anyone else can be? You know,
Mhm.
what's the point of being in a relationship if it's just like I'm just going to be another person?
Yeah, and you were the original person in this
Yeah.
relationship with her.
Exactly.
That's insane. I mean, if you think about it, is she now you did say this. You said that your ex-girlfriend, you were like you said, the 2nd person she'd ever been with?
Yeah.
And how old was she when you guys met?
She was 21 and I was 23.
Okay, so 21, 23. She really didn't do much, had much playtime or whatever, because everybody needs a little playtime. And do you think that that contributed to the whole situation?
Probably. I mean, again, that was like the basis for why I was like, hey, look, if you want to like live your life and experiment with women, like I can understand that.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, it might upset me at first, but it's like I can at least wrap my head around and conceptualize why that would be something you would be doing versus like a guy.
Okay.
And then again, like I feel like she took that and like abused it. Like
Okay,
women
because
and
you
men are the same thing. I look at it like those are relationships the same way. It's like I understand that, but I clearly told you that I don't look at it that way.
mhm.
And if I'm the one setting the boundary, it's my boundary that should be respected.
Hmm, interesting. Okay, I understand that. But now when you're doing this, are you realizing now you told me that you said that you put her into the OnlyFans lifestyle. Is it
I didn't
true?
put her in the OnlyFans lifestyle. She wanted to do OnlyFans before I met her.
Oh, she did, okay. But she convinced you to go along with it?
Yes. So she was like, "This is what I'm doing." More or less, like I found out after she made her OnlyFans. So I was like, "Hey, look, this is like a reoccurring theme."
Yeah,
I found out, oh yeah, I have an OnlyFans, and you kind of had to be okay with it. Start a fight. Okay, calm down. I'm okay with it. Like I guess, like I love you. You're more important like, than like all that bullshit. Being with you is more
mhm,
important.
right.
But like
Mm,
it was like no nudity at first, and then like she was like okay, 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 and then boom. Like I remember I came in from work and I like walked into the bathroom. She's filming herself naked in the shower. And it's like, okay. She's like, yeah, yeah. Well, I just figured like it's time that I come out like that on my channel or whatever. And it's like, again, I have to find out about it first. Like, it's not like you talk to me like, hey, this is what's going on, and I get to voice my opinion. And like, to be honest, like the way she acted, like my opinion wouldn't even matter. Like,
no, she doesn't care.
no, she didn't care. And
No,
she like looking back, she also would talk down on me like all the damn time. So I feel like I was always trying to like find like ways to like appease her and make her happy because like she was always like talking down to me and like she was borderline emotionally abusive.
okay. Well, see, then that's the thing. That's a narcissistic trait. What would she say to you when she talked down to you?
Like pretty much the way it was. Like I'll be completely honest. I have ADHD, so it's really hard for me to keep track of certain things.
Yeah.
So there came a time in our relationship where I was like, "Look, like if you pay all the bills, I'll just send you all of my money. Like I'll just get paid and send it to you because like at that point, like you know what I mean. It
Yeah.
just made sense. Like you keep up with the bills better. It'll give you more resources because like she was also booking like all of our trips and things like that. So
Mhm.
just send her all the money. And occasionally, like there'd be times where like because I was doing like landscaping and hardscaping at one point where bad weather, so I wasn't working, so the paychecks were like kind of low, and
Mhm.
like it was just the way she would like act, like when things are good, like oh we're a team, and then when things are bad, then it's always like she's pointing out to me in ways that like she was like carrying me. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I mean, it's like she had OnlyFans, she had other jobs that lined up, so she had like just like more sources of income coming in, and I was just
She
like
had
busting
some
my ass.
hustle. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
like, and then she'd always just like talk like poorly to me and down at me,
Mhm.
and like looking back, it's just like completely unacceptable. After
Well,
like,
yeah, and not to mention it's an abusive relationship. I mean, that's not
yeah,
a
like
yeah.
I was the guy that you know we were taking care of her grandparents, and like her grandfather would like fall out of his bed, and I had to run up like 2 flights of stairs to like pick this old man up who's like, you know, not able to like really stand. And sometimes
Right.
he might have had an accident, and here I am doing it in the middle of the night. I had to be up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
and like no complaints. Never once asked for a thank you. Like never needed it,
Yeah.
and like yet she had the audacity to like talk down to me and
Mm.
like make me feel. She said that I was like I was a controlling boyfriend because I had issues with her this whole polyamorous thing.
Right. Well, yeah, I would imagine. I would imagine you'd be a little controlling if your wife, girlfriend's out there doing whatever the hell she wants to do, and she thinks it's okay. Yeah.
But like,
I
is
mean,
that
that sounds like
controlling or is that just setting a boundary? At this, you know what I
that's
mean? Like
boundaries. I mean, it's like don't walk outside naked because people might see you. I mean, or something like that. You that's a part of a relationship. Relationships are supposed to be a team, not
yeah.
a one fit. You know what I'm saying? So I
And
just
then
feel like
towards
go
the
ahead.
end, she was like trying to like say our relationship was like complete trash, like the entire time. Like she looked so bad, like looked downly on it. I'm just like
Mm,
we had great communication skills before we went to Texas, and like this whole bullshit started.
right.
Like we were the couple that we were arguing. We were going to sit there and talk it out to before we went to bed, so we
Okay.
didn't go to bed angry.
Right.
Um, like again, like we had each other's backs. She helped me through a lot. I've helped her through a lot.
Right.
So to sit here and say all those like nasty, disgusting things about me. It's like I get it. Like you're probably just trying to cope with your own bullshit and your own emotions, but I don't
Right.
deserve to be looked at in such a bad light. So
Yeah. And that's
yeah,
understandable. I mean, and the mental abuse, man, I think that guys don't understand the mental abuse that goes on when I mean, not even just guys, in a relationship in general, that there's a lot of mental abuse that it bears these seeds of discontent and hatred for somebody. So, with that being said, I mean, and I think that you can get that and it recalcitrates itself over and over and over again. I mean, do you feel that way? Do you feel like there's like a resentment?
yeah. I'm not definitely at first, like because I've again sacrificed so much, and then now it's all for nothing.
Mhm.
But you have to let that go. Like you can't be carrying that around.
No, you
Yeah.
really can't
No,
because
like
it'll eat you up, man.
yeah, like I'm a huge fan of the saying, "Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, and today is a gift." That's why it's called present. The present,
Yeah,
rather.
that's true. Yeah. I mean, that's just I mean, but if you think about it and you break it down to its most simplest structure, there's just so much abuse in this tale that you've kind of, told us, Gigi, and I, for one, hope that you're taking the best lessons out of it, and you're picking them apart and learning so that the next time you get into a relationship, you know what you don't want and what you don't need, and you can see the red flags.
No, yeah. So everything is a learning experience
Yep.
at the end of the day. So with this, definitely, I understand now. I need to set my boundaries. I
Mhm.
understand things that I shouldn't like. I have more self value, so I know
Right.
like things I should and shouldn't take. Um,
Mhm.
in terms of like pushing against my boundaries, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm open minded, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to be
Too
gaslit into be open minded. Um,
Mhm.
like how she would tell me, I don't have a problem with being poly. I just have insecurities. But it's like,
Okay. Now have you
no,
explored this? Do you believe that you have insecurities?
everybody has insecurities, but that's not the reason why I have a problem with being poly. I don't like being poly. I don't understand
Yeah.
the benefits of
It's
it.
not your fault.
I can sit
Yeah.
here and go on until I'm blue in the face about all the negative aspects of being polyamorous versus monogamy, and I'll tell you the positives of monogamy outweigh the positives of polyamory, and then on the flip side, the negatives of polyamory outweigh the negatives of monogamy. So it's
Yeah.
like I completely want to stay away from that. And I sat here and I've listened to a lot of people who've gone through things similar things in podcasts. I've listened to like
Yeah.
psychologists analyze like the whole breakdown of it. Like I
Right.
understand it. I understand it quite well, and I don't want anything a part of it. It's
It's like
it's a waste. It's a waste.
it's a waste of time. It's just that's just playtime. And I mean,
Yeah,
nowadays, I mean, we're
you
older.
avoid responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just running away from it, really. I mean, if you think about it. But, Gigi, tell our audience, especially the guys out there listening, because we have a vast and we wanna guys, we also wanna thank you for your support, tuning in every week and or when we drop new episodes. So we really appreciate that. But Gigi, tell our audience some of the warning signs and red flags to look out for when they are exploring partnering up with somebody that they don't know, especially about in the hookup culture that we all live in.
Geez, in this culture, it's hard because like there's this common saying that's been going around now is like everyone's screwing somebody else, and like at this point, it's
Yeah,
almost true. It's like you got to protect yourself. Like have open communication. Like I'm, I believe that you shouldn't treat someone that like I'm trying to think of the best way of putting this. You shouldn't treat somebody that you trust as if you don't trust them.
right.
So like until they give you a reason not to trust them, like you should trust them. And if you
Right.
trust somebody, typically they respond in a trusting manner. If you are distrustful with somebody, then they usually meet that with being dishonest. So
Mhm.
just, open communication. If you're the one that's screwing around too, don't be doing that. And then don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah, that's part of it
So
too.
yeah,
Big part
that's
of the job.
hold yourself accountable. Like a lot
Right.
of people like make their beds and then when they lay in it, they don't like it. Like I can't
Mhm.
tell you how many of my friends I find talking to other girls and, "Oh, man, I found my girl talking to this guy," and it's like,
Yeah.
well, she's talking to one dude and you're talking to 3 chicks, so who's the real asshole in this situation? Let's be real here, and she's probably doing that because she has caught wind of it to some degree, or you're not paying attention to her, you're paying attention to these bitches, and now she's searching for attention somewhere else. So, like, stay away from it just entirely. Like,
Yeah.
understand what you're actually doing in that relationship. Like, if
Mhm.
you're trying to build something, build something. If you're trying to have fun, then both people just need to understand that we're just here to have fun, and it's
Yeah.
not that deep. Don't make something
Right.
that's not that deep deeper than what it is.
Mhm. And
There's
don't
plenty.
dig.
Yeah, and if you're
Yeah.
if you both are willing to take it into a serious manner, then be serious about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's such a footnote of good humble advice because and guys, this is from somebody who's dealt with this. So if this is something that you're getting into and you don't really know, there are warning signs and red flags. Even if you're in love, take down the peripherals, get a better set of glasses on the situation. Sometimes even get a partner that's a friend and be like, "Do you see the same thing I'm seeing, or am I delusional?" Sometimes you need to take on a partner and ask questions because sometimes love can blind you and it can make you believe things that really are not true. It's like a hallucination because you get so caught up into it. But guys, this has been Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast. I've been talking with Gigi, our co-host, and this is Gigi's story. Okay. Gigi, any closing remarks for our audience before we head out?
Yeah, just remember to love remember to love yourself, guys, and don't forget that.
Yeah.
I've found ho in order for you to truly love somebody, you have to first love yourself. But
Yes.
when you do find someone that you do love, you can also lose that love for yourself and in that person. Be
Yeah.
careful of that because then that's when you start to find yourself being taken advantage of and unable to set the boundaries and communicate the things you need to communicate because
Yeah.
you're not putting yourself and your needs forward.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And that's absolutely true, guys. And it's a great thing that I think the guys are starting to figure it out. They're starting to come together, talk about it. I see TikToks on this all the time, especially when I'm on our TikTok, which is Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast on TikTok. And I see this stuff on these little memes and themes about how some women are just taking advantage of guys, doing the date and dash thing, taking them. I saw one where a lady took a guy out on a dinner. She ordered 6 different meals and he's like, "Wait, you're gonna eat all that food?" And she's like, "No, I'm gonna take some of it home." What kind of shit is that? I was like, "Come on, man." That's a warning sign, guys. That's a red flag. But
100%.
anyway, okay, it really is. I've been Mr. Villain for Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast. We've been speaking with Gigi, our co-host, and this was Gigi's story. Thanks again, guys, and you can follow us on all of our handles. We're on TikTok, we're on X, formerly Twitter, Facebook. Just always type in the Let Me Take You Higher podcast.
Be
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that's crazy, man. Anyway, all right, guys, thank you so much, and we're out.
In the heartache, we find our way, transforming sorrow into strength each day. With every tear, we start anew. Goodness sings of hope that pulls us through. So let the past just fade away. Embrace the dawn of a brand new day. In the journey, we learn to see that love can leave, but sets us free. When love dies, it's not the end. It's a chapter closed, a chance to mend. With Gigi Luigi by our side, let me take you higher, let love be our guide.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast. Big thanks to our special guests and a huge shout out to our incredible sponsors. You guys are literally the wind beneath our podcast wings. Remember, this show was dreamed up and brought to life by yours truly, Mr. Villain, and it's all made possible by BC Entertainment LLC, a proud subsidiary of Big Cheddar Music LLC. All rights are reserved by BC Entertainment. So don't even think about touching that dial without permission. Until next time, keep your minds elevated and your vibes higher. This is Mr. Villain signing off. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and stay forever gifted and lifted.